And today I'm going to be telling you two of the scariest things that have ever happened to me while working nights. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a 30-year-old full-time working mom who just so happens to moonlight as a ghost hunter. Between my day job and paranormal investigating, I don't have much time for sleep anyway. So it only seemed fitting that I share a few terrifying tales of my night shift experiences with you all. The first story is one that I've never shared before, not because it's especially creepy, but because it's actually kind of embarrassing. But since you guys want to know, I guess I should just get over myself. When I was about 18 years old, maybe 19, I got a job at this pizza place down in Delaware called Pizza del Capitano. It was an awesome place to work. The owner was great. The regulars were awesome. And I loved my coworkers. I worked there for years. And one of my coworkers at the time was a guy by the name of Steve. Steve was one of those people who could always make you laugh, no matter what. And he was definitely one of the most carefree people I know. At this pizza shop, we closed at 11 p.m. every night. And even though it was pretty much just takeout and delivery orders after 10, we still had to wait until 11 to officially close up. One night I was closing with Steve, and we were having a blast, as usual. We were cracking jokes and having a good time, when suddenly Steve looks at the clock and says, "Oh, crap, I forgot I have to pick up Jenny from soccer practice. She'll be so upset if I'm late." Now Steve had been going on about how he was going to leave early for like a half hour. And I was thinking to myself, you would think he would remember something important like that. But I didn't say anything. I just said, "All right, well, I'll see you later." And he rushed off to go change his clothes. And then a few minutes later, when it was just me finishing up, I hear this commotion outside the front door. And when I look up, I see a woman standing there with her arms crossed, looking absolutely furious. And she yells inside, "Is Steve back there?" And I yell back, "Yeah, he just left." And she yells back, "Well, you tell him he's in big trouble." And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, what did I say to that lady? Did I offend her or something? But then she starts walking away. So I just shrug it off and continue cleaning. Then all of a sudden she comes back in and says, "Do you know where he went?" And I say, "No, but I'm sure he went towards the high school. That's where they practice, right?" And she yelled, "Thank you," and ran off again. And I still had no idea what was going on. A couple of minutes later, she comes back in again, looking more flustered than before, and says, "Do you have his keys?" And I'm like, "His keys? Why does she want his keys? I don't have his keys." And she's like, "I need to talk to him right now. Can you call him?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have a phone for him to call him." And she's pacing back and forth now, getting really agitated, and I can see she's holding back tears. And I feel so bad at this point, because I still have no idea what's going on, but I want to help her. So I start looking around for a phone. I finally find an old flip phone in one of the booths, and I hand it to her and say, "Here, maybe you can try calling him from this." And she takes the phone and runs outside. And this whole time, I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell? What's going on? And then finally, she comes back in with Steve. And when she gets back, she throws the phone down and starts yelling at him. And she's like, "Why didn't you answer your phone? Where the hell were you? I've been looking everywhere for you." And Steve's looking back at her all confused. And he's like, "What? I don't know what you're talking about. I just got off work. Why are you so upset?" And she just starts crying at that point and walks off. And Steve looks at me and he's like, "What the hell was that about?" And I just shrug my shoulders because I'm still clueless. Then, once they both left, I checked the time and realized that we were 20 minutes past closing time. So I lock up and I'm about to walk out when I hear a voice behind me say, "Did you just close?" And I turn around to see my boss standing there with his arms crossed, looking very displeased. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. Steve kept us a little bit longer than expected." And he starts writing something down on a piece of paper and hands it to me and says, "This is your new schedule starting tomorrow. You will be opening." And I'm like, "But I'm the closer." And he says, "Yeah, well, apparently that didn't work out too well tonight. Did it?" And he walked away shaking his head. And I looked down at the schedule, and I was scheduled to open at 7 a.m., for the next 3 days straight. And I thought, screw Steve. Now, I don't want to complain too much about working overnight stock because I actually really enjoy doing it. I love being in the warehouse by myself and just stocking shelves. I can play my music and podcast and just get lost in my little world, and everything is fine. But sometimes things don't go according to plan, and I end up having to team lead or bag groceries or, even worse, customer service. And that's when things can get rough. The second story I'm about to tell you involves a situation I had to deal with while I was trying to bag groceries one night. It was just one of those super busy nights where it seemed like every single person that came through my lane had a complaint about something or another. At first, it started off fairly simple. A can of spaghetti sauce was crushed in a bag. They wanted a rain check for an end cap display that was out of stock. Someone didn't like how their bags were being packed. You know, the usual stuff. But then this one lady came through and she was so rude. She wouldn't even make eye contact with me. She just kept looking down at the conveyor belt. And as she's checking out, she starts ranting about how the store is dirty and how horrible the customer service is. And I just smiled and politely told her that I was sorry she felt that way. Then she started complaining about her rewards app not working. And I was like, okay, I can help you with that. And I hit the button for a tech reset, and I explained to her what I was doing and why. And she just huffed and continued to stare at the floor. And honestly, at this point I was getting annoyed, so I just started scanning her stuff without saying a word. And then all of a sudden she reaches into her purse and pulls out this big wad of cash. And I thought, great, here we go. She's going to give me a really hard time with the exact change thing. And she slams the money down on the counter and says, here, you take this. And I'm just staring at her like, what? And she's still looking at the floor and she says, here's your tip. Make sure to wear gloves next time you handle other people's money. And then she grabbed her stuff and walked out. And I was sitting there stunned. And I'm looking at the money in my hand and I'm thinking, she literally just gave me a handful of cash and told me to keep it. Is she serious? Does she realize how much this could get me in trouble? And I ended up putting the money in my pocket and just hoping that nobody saw me. Thankfully, my coworker wasn't paying attention and didn't see it happen. So those are two crazy stories that happened to me while working the night shift. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it and want to hear more, because I've got plenty more where those came from. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.